I just got back from a whirlwind trip to New York City, and I know that like 90% of my audience here is fellow theater kids. So I thought it'd be fun to sit down and give you a little roundup of my trip, because it was kind of incredible. It was filled with so much joy, so many like universal small world things that just made me like I don't even know how to describe it. You know, when you have an experience that just kind of makes you go, oh, everything is connected, and oh, there always is like a larger thing at play. I love and live for those moments. And it always makes them like that much more magical when they happen in New York City. I feel like I have a hair on my lip, but like there's no way I'm redoing that intro. Haha, I did. On this trip, I got to see Wicked, The Outsiders, The Great Gatsby, and Hadestown. Just a moment of gratitude. So let's get into this trip recap. I really wanted to see Wicked on Broadway again before the movie comes out this November. Obviously, I know that the movie is going to be made up of source material from the musical, but also the musical is based off of a book, kind of, I guess, the true source material. So I am not going to read that book because it's big and crazy, but I was like, I want to see at least one of the source materials, the materials of source, before this movie came out again. I wanted to jog my memory. My roommate was actually on this trip with me, and her and I have had this long-running bit almost, which wasn't really a bit because it worked, of me turning her into a theater kid. She's just it's never really been her cup of tea, but it was more, in my opinion, I think, a lack of exposure to it rather than a harsh judgment of it. And so when we moved in together, I kept saying like, I need to take you to see Wicked. I need to take you to see Wicked. And finally, kind of this whole trip came out of that bit of us just going, well, what do we want to do at the end of September? Like, do we want to go to New York? Do we want to see Wicked? We did it. And I am proud to say, I think she's a theater kid now. She's had new money stuck in her head since we left the trip. That's, from Gatsby, but we'll get into that. I was so thrilled to return to the Gershwin. I have so many beautiful memories in and out of this building that I am eternally grateful for. Going all the way back to the simple fact that Wicked was the first show I ever saw on Broadway when I was like 14. But the best special part about this trip to see Wicked is that I actually had a friend in the show. My friend Jake is Bach. So I sent him a DM telling him that we were already coming to the show, and he was so sweet and kind enough to offer to take us backstage after the show. She already told me this, but I earned major roommate points. The fact that that was now my roommate's first Broadway show, and then we got to go backstage for a little tour. But again, that's just something that like 14-year-old Sam still can't believe. Not only that I got to have that opportunity myself, but I got to like give that opportunity to another person. Like, what? Life is crazy. Please enjoy a little bit of backstage tour moments that we got. I'll see how this all edits together because I was trying to like capture all the sweet fun content that Jake was showing us, but also like was trying to live in the moment. So this is just a little montage of backstage at the Gershwin with Jake.
Here's the backstage tour looking back, okay? We got the backstage quick change.
Oh yeah, Hunter loved those heads for sure. Yeah, she goes,
There's
terrifying.
one thing that's going to be even more terrifying. When we go up on stage, just know that the stage is a rake stage, so you'll feel like you're falling for it. You're not crazy. You are. But yeah,
Also, look at all your Bach.
we got all the extras, all the things. There's the green baby. You can see the top of the head there.
Oh no,
Right
rest in
there.
peace.
So
Yeah.
there's one of the fight wands. It's real Swarovski crystals, so pretty cool. Then we have, I think this is supposed to be Nessa's wheelchair,
Sure.
but I don't know. if
In
it's
like the
so.
wreckage of the house or
And then
something.
we got Dr. Dillerman's little moment. Up there you can see Fiero's bike.
Fantastic.
Above us directly is Alphabet's Bed for Popular, and then above that are some more bikes and things for the Emerald City. Then there's the other wheelchair we were talking about, the one that is magic and goes by itself.
Uh-huh.
This is the main Oz head, which is a puppet. It comes out by itself, but then someone is back here with the wizard.
Ooh.
Automatic, like not it's not automatic. He just does it like a puppet and says all the words while he's talking. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is very cool.
This is Dorothy Gale's house. Some
Yeah.
corn as well.
Some
Yeah,
corn.
and if you-
Again, this was like the first show I saw on Broadway when I was 14 years old. And I know just like all of the different perspectives I've gotten to have of the show is just absolutely insane.
This is another fun moment of the tour. Welcome back. So we're going to go backstage left. And so in the moment of the show where they say no to the wizard, I'm not going to help you, they go, no. And she goes, I'll fetch her back. And they come this way. So just remember, they're in their heels and their dresses.
Yes, truly. Also, like all the tracks in the ground,
Yep.
I'm nervous just walking back here in kitten heels.
This way. They pass all this craziness. They go down these stairs to run down these stairs.
Stop. No. No.
Ew. Isn't that crazy?
Why the red light choice?
It's just so that doesn't like bleed through the house. But it's pretty intense. And then there's almost an identical like staircase to come back up the other way. So I just always like to show these women off athletes.
Of course.
Yeah. And the dresses?
I know. Isn't that nuts? You gotta work. Wow.
Wow. What a time.
Now let's talk about The Outsiders. The hype is there. The hype is so well deserved. I can't be giggling right now. So yes, we'll get it out of the way. This whole cast is very hot. But the best part is that they are hot and talented. It's so good when that happens. I love when that happens. I was going to say obviously, but I guess I don't want to assume. If you didn't know, The Outsiders, the musical, is based off of The Outsiders, the movie, which is based off of The Outsiders, the book, which a lot of you maybe read in school, or actually I think it's now on the like banned books list from schools, which is just insane, but we don't have to get into that now. But fun fact, I did not know that the author of The Outsiders wrote this book, this story, when she was like 15. It's giving like Wattpad fan fiction that is like actually really good. Oh God, I'm gonna regret saying that. But if you know what I mean, then you know what I mean. How it's like you would stumble upon that Wattpad fan fiction written by someone who was like 14 and English was their second language, but somehow it was the most beautifully devastating story you've ever read. That's what I mean. I love that this story about these teenagers was written by a teenager. I think that's why it's so like raw and visceral and just grounded in so much truth. Anyway, The Outsiders is about a town that's divided. You have the Socs and the Greasers, and this show follows all of the drama and events that unfold amongst all of that division. The music was so good. I am not often someone who listens to the soundtrack before seeing a show. I had heard parts of the soundtrack. I just think across social media, like the amount of times that I've heard Tulsa 1967, like I've heard that time and time again, but just that bit. I have now had Runs in the Family and Throwing in the Towel stuck in my head on a loop, and I don't care. The music is so good. Everyone's voices in the show are so freaking good. And I love when we get different genres on Broadway. I love that the soundtrack is a bit more folksy because I think that that genre of music lends itself so well to storytelling. Truly, the amount of times that my brain will just randomly go, so I dropped out of school because I had to make $1. Like, I'm like, it is addicting in my brain. I absolutely have to shout out the direction in this show. The direction, the lighting, and the stage design. This was some of my favorite stage direction maybe ever. The visuals that I have in my head now from this show, I am so grateful for, and the way that they used the lighting and the set to tell the story. Like the train, there's a part in the show where two characters are like jumping on a train, and they truly just have these planks of wood that other cast members are holding on top of tires, and they're like rolling it back and forth, and the other cast members are standing on top of the planks, and it is so impressive to me. There are so many visuals in this show. This show is just stunning to watch. It deserved all of those Tonys. And now, of course, I did stage door. I am no better than a stage door. I will never be above a stage door experience. And here is where one of those fun little small world stories takes place. I saw a 2 p.m. matinee of this show, and I got to see Josh Strobel go on as Ponyboy. Again, I was not very aware of this show other than the hype around it going into it. But in LA, I told one of my friends, I'm going to go see The Outsiders. And this friend asked what performance, and he was like, oh my God, I think you're going to go get to see my friend. He's going on for the matinee. And I was like, cool. Can't wait. How fun. He was like, Josh has such a beautiful voice. He's so good. Oh, you're so lucky. Like, you're going to love this. And I was like, hell yeah. I honestly love, we'll get into this a little bit later, but like, I love getting to see understudies go on. I think it makes it feel so much more like exciting to me. And so I told this friend in LA, well, of course, I'll stage door. I'll say hi for you. So I stage doored and I met a lot of this lovely, lovely cast. Everyone was so nice. And when Josh came out, I was preparing to do my small world, like, oh, hey, do you know this person and this? Like, I kind of hate doing that. It's kind of my least favorite thing to do. But I'm so glad that I did, because it turns out that Josh already knew who I was. As I was doing my small world connection with him, he was like, wait, I know you. You look so familiar. And we put it all together that he had seen some of my previous videos with the stage door. I'm sorry. How fun is that? Again, another moment that like 12-year-old Sam would be like, what do you mean? What do you mean someone whose performance you just adored recognized you at the stage door and knew who you were? How cute. Truly, if you get to see Josh in this show, you are very lucky. His voice is amazing. I loved so many of his acting beats. There was this one moment at the end of Great Expectations where he just had like one tear that was getting hit by the spotlight that, ooh, it just was beautiful. And again, this whole cast is so talented and so nice. If you're nervous to stage door, do it anyway. Push through. Just focus on being polite and kind, because at the end of the day, these performers are just people who are also fans of the craft that they're doing. So just approach it like that. Be kind, be polite to those around you, especially at the outsider stage door. Girlies, let's get it together a little bit. It wasn't too crazy at the matinee, but of course, you know, I got there right after the show ended, and so I was at the bar, or at the barricade. And when I felt that there was someone else behind me that, you know, was having trouble reaching their playbill over, guess what I did? I pivoted my body language. I turned to the side so that she could also step in a little bit and have her moments too. Be aware of your surroundings. Be respectful, okay? Because I've seen some of those videos of that stage door late at night, and whoo-wee, those nighttime shows look crazy. But 1000% do it. I don't think you're ever really going to regret doing a stage door experience, because you at least did it. Even if someone's like, you know, not exactly who you thought they were going to be or whatever, like, I think you would rather have that experience than regretting not doing it. Anyway, that's just my little PSA for a stage door. And also, again, The Outsiders is amazing. I love this show. I absolutely love this show. So please, if you can, go see it. I know it's a hot ticket right now, but go see it. The Great Gatsby. Now, seeing this show was very special for me because this was the first time that I've ever been invited by a Broadway show to come see it and share about it. I mean, talk about another like pinch me moment for preteen Sam. At this performance, I got to see Austin Colby as Gatsby. I honestly had a really good time watching the show. I'll get into more plot thoughts, I guess, later. But I think this is actually a great time to talk about seeing understudies. I did go into this show thinking I was going to see Jeremy on as Gatsby, which, yes, I was really excited about because I've been a theater kid my whole life. He is a staple in the theater kid fandom. I'd never gotten to see him perform live before. So of course I was looking forward to that. However, I was still excited when I saw that Austin was going to be on for Gatsby. Now, just in the theater world, I've been aware of Austin because he was a Hans in the Frozen on Broadway tour. I had never met him before. I had never seen him before. I was actually quite excited to see him go on. This is a mindset that I want to try to encourage. Anytime I get to see an understudy go on, I really try and drop into the excitement that they must be feeling. Also, because I know for a fact they are excited, but also knowingly battling disappointment in the audience. So they have to go out there and give it their all and sit in the joy of the fact that they are getting to do what they want to do, while also battling the fact that like there are people who are maybe less polite than me sitting there going, oh, what? I didn't know it was going to be him. What? Oh my gosh, what? We came here to see blah, 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 blah. I do not imagine that that is a fun feeling. And again, that is what happened for The Outsiders. I got to see Josh go on for Ponyboy and Dan went on for Soda Pop. And now I get to say that I was there and that I've seen their takes on those characters. And that's an exciting thing. It's one of those situations where two things can be true at once. You can be disappointed that you don't get to see someone that you're a fan of and that you wanted to cheer on and support. And you can also transfer that energy to the person that you are getting to see. So try and keep that in mind the next time that you unexpectedly see an understudy. Now, the show itself, The Great Gatsby, is a massive spectacle on the stage. And again, truly, I had a lot of fun watching this. The visuals, the sets, the ensemble was really, really great. There are aspects of telling the story that, like, how do I say this? Like, I wasn't necessarily a fan of, but I also don't have that strong of a connection to The Great Gatsby as a source material. I read it in high school. I've seen the movie before. And when I think about my experiences with those stories, I don't really translate that to what this story is on stage. They're different. I genuinely feel like the best way to approach The Great Gatsby, the musical, is as its own thing, as its own story, as its own entity, because that's what I did going into it and I enjoyed it. I know that that doesn't make for the best pitch for it, considering it is an adaptation of a popular work, but it can still be an enjoyable musical with a lot of good parts. You will absolutely have fun seeing the show. It's sad towards the end. If you don't know, I'm not going to spoil it. I have to say that the whole cast did do a great job. Obviously, like, Ava's voice is incredible. The highlight to me was Noah as Nick Carraway. This is his show, in my opinion. He is charming. His voice is amazing. He does a brilliant job of being this charming narrator who's taking you through the story and interacting with these crazy characters in this wild world while still remaining grounded. And again, his voice is so good. He is so funny too. Of course, I took another trip to Hadestown. I already shared some thoughts about my experience with this show on Instagram that I'm probably just going to kind of echo here. I love this show. I think it is so deeply spiritual. I think the music is incredible. And right now, guys, oh my God, this cast. I love Jordan. I love his Orpheus. It is so special. Jordan as Orpheus is one of those things that I'm just so grateful that I've had the chance to see twice, because this feels like one of those just like performer and piece fusions that is just so perfect. I also got to see Maya. This was my first time being introduced to her as a performer, and oh my God, her voice is incredible. And also, like, this is the thing where I'm literally just gonna read what I wrote already. Well, first, again, man, don't let me journal, because I will journal. This is what I wrote. I feel so deeply seen, lifted, and loved. And that was also just from a different experience, but whatever. What a beautiful thing to love, to learn, to revisit a story time and time again, only to find all the new ways in which it heals. Revisiting the past is something often advised against, but the beauty in telling a story again and again is how it grounds you in the lessons you learned. Girl, Maya's Eurydice has a tragic innocence to her that, opposite Jordan's beautiful, inherently optimistic Orpheus, makes for a devastating telling of this story. And I stand by that. These two, their voices together, their performances together, it's truly magical. And Philip's Hades is, if you haven't seen Hadestown, or even if you've already seen it, I would really, really urge you to try and go see it with this cast. I know Jordan and Maya and Philip, I think, all extended through the rest of this year, which I'm grateful for, because I didn't even realize that they were originally going to leave like September 15th. So shout out to y'all for extending because I got to see you. This was one of those shows where it's like everyone was so talented, all of the voices on the stage. Like I love seeing a show on Broadway and just being like, wow, the talent in this room is out of this world. Hadestown was like a top tier experience from this trip. Well, folks, how's that for a trip roundup? Truly, this trip was so focused on getting to see shows, which I'm so freaking lucky that I got to give myself this experience. This trip was so affirming in a lot of ways. It really helped me just stand on my own in a very new sense of self that I'm trying to build and I'm in the process of building. And I am just so, so grateful for all of the very affirming experiences that I had on this trip. I got a lot of little gifts from the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. And that felt so good. I'm so glad that a lot of you wanted to hear about this trip. I'm so grateful for all of your support and engagement with theater content that I share because that gives me more opportunities to do it in the future. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for your support. Please make sure you're subscribed to this channel because you can get notified when I upload, but also it looks good for me. Sometimes it really is a numbers game, baby. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.